day.
That's a perfect example of what we did well in Mexico. Ended up not mattering at all.
Yeah.
But with you guys, dude, it was funny. Yeah. I had no idea you were sick. And we were going to forfeit. Obviously,
So our plan was to play,
right?
Like our plan
I believed you guys would have played,
we would
for sure. And then they're just like deathly sick, very sick, and I had no idea.
Like the only legit.
I walk up not dressed, and you're gonna hate Ed for this, but because he just talks so much. I walk up not dressed, and I'm behind, and I just walk up behind Ed, and I overheard him talking to someone else. Saying that the boys are just sick and I think we got to forfeit or whatever, Yeah. And then I was like, walk backwards slowly. Like, hey, throw your jersey on. And then I looked at you guys and was like, oh, bro, they're like struggling.
You guys were like hitting balls. I'm
and we're like, hey, let's just milk it. Let's just start like peppering or whatever.
The second you guys started hammering balls, like, dang it, they're like ready to play. But yeah,
why
good actors.
I'm curious, why would you guys have wanted to play that match?
Because I knew we didn't want to play it, probably.
I think for some reason when I looked, winning pool was more
It would have been
in that scenario. In that tournament, it was like
the matchups or whatever.
The matchups or something with us. Okay. Like it would have helped us with matchups, like of who we wanted to try to play. I think.
Yeah, we would have like preferred to win it. You kind of always prefer to win the pool, right?
Sometimes unless Cuba, there's some gnarly teams got knocked off.
Yeah, then it's just clearly better.
And then
Sakurama, there was like 6 teams that lost their first match. That's the one you kind of wanted to like lose, right? Like,
when Recife, Evandro, Arthur lose their first round, and it's like, we don't want that.
Yeah,
we'll take second and pull all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time we see them in the tournament, we're like, we're gonna draw them for sure.
Dude, you guys have played them so many times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How many times? Like there was like consecutive tournaments.
The first year, it was like 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Like every tournament that we were both in, we played each other. Like elite qualifiers to like, pool play of challenges to even like
gold medal match of soccer the first time
like
around.
Every playoffs, like there's a draw, shocker, who we got? Evandro. I think that happened multiple times too. But not so much late in the season. We didn't match up with them late in the season.
Yeah, you played
as much.
About 15 times in your first 14 tournaments. So.
Yeah, we got them enough.
Can we like experience someone else to like prepare against them in the future?
You know what's crazy is we coming down. There's only 2 teams that we haven't faced yet. The Czech team, and that's because they didn't play in many like that much, and then just never ran into them. The other one is the interesting one. Never plays Hodges or Schubert.
Really?
And we were probably in good 20 tournaments with them, and never faced them.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Trevor and Theo got them.
Trevor and Theo got them a lot, but we never.
Isn't it funny how it works like that? Like sometimes you can just play a team like Evander and Arthur a million times, but Hodges, for whatever reason, it just never happened. Because you guys even like your rises were pretty parallel. Where both of you guys started in challenge qualifiers and ended up building pretty much at the same time and ending up in the same spot. You just never saw them.
Yeah.
It's funny how it works.
I know. If they would have beat Trevor and Theo in the China haiku tournament, we would have played them, but that was like the closest we had to like playing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, with that haiku tournament, for you, Miles, because that was your first kind of major win.
Yeah.
Right? You'd won a handful of tour series and stuff like that, but that was like your first kind of big boy win. What was that like for you in terms of like, was that a moment where you were like, yeah, like I belong at this top level, or did you already kind of know that before and it was just, you were just waiting for that gold medal was a matter of time?
Yeah. I mean, like the tournament before, I had a terrible tournament in India, and I trained super hard leading up to China. So I was a little bit more prepared, if you will, like mentally to go into that. And I would say like that was, a huge kind of like breakthrough of like, all right, like we can compete with like some of the best teams in the world. And we actually have a shot to go to the Olympics, because kind of before that we were like kind of teetering, but like we got to push through on that moment. So for me, it was pretty huge for sure.
Yeah. And he balled out.
I also bet came that we're going to medal, and we hadn't medaled in 6 months. And I was like, I'll bet you $100 we're going to medal. And sure enough, we have to play you guys.
That's like we get back to the hotel and there's like a ding already. Straight to Miles's phone.
Venmo. Cha-ching.
It was nice.
But it was especially cool because, well, it's cool now in retrospect that it's over, but you beat Try and Came, and then you beat Trev and Theo, the two teams that you really needed to beat. And that's like another element to it, because at the end of the day, American race is between Americans. And that's awesome that you had to knock out the two teams that you really had to beat.
We didn't get much ahead in points because they took second. It was always 40 points more, but yeah it was nice.
I feel like the message was sent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you get that first, you're like, you expect it to be like a big, huge leap, and you're like, but they got second. The one event, they actually got second. But you'll take it for sure.
For sure.
Even any medal, it's like not even that drastic. First and third is still close.
Yeah.
Like first and fourth, like
That's the one where you hope they get a 9th. They're have a terrible finish.
Yeah.
I'm interested, like, in your guys' mindset throughout the whole race, like when it started, the Olympic vision of it. Because, like, I guess externally the expectation, and that's from my perspective, but like the expectation wasn't that high to actually pull it off, right? Like, you guys were underdogs.
Right.
yeah.
I'm curious what it was like for you guys in terms of expectation to pull it off. And then, like, at what point, like you mentioned, maybe China, to where it was like, oh, we actually are in good position. We might pull this off.
Right.
Like, how did it start off internally in terms of the expectations?
I mean, we didn't qualify for our first tournament, and we were like, oh crap, and then all of a sudden we took second place in the next one. I was like, oh wow, we just a little confidence boost, if you will.
Yeah.
And then we got a bunch of like 9ths after that. So, it's just so like up and down as far as like the confidence to like actually believe that you're going to make it.
Right.
And I would say China, and then having another medal in Thailand, you're like, all right, Trevor and Theo didn't want to play these tournaments. That's cool. Like, we'll
take advantage.
We'll take it, So.
Try and Cam wanted to get last. Perfect. Taylor's bounced in the quality.
Yeah, I kind of...
Door's very much open here.
Right.
I remember talking with Theo before the Olympic run, and we kind of were trying to figure out, like, what is baseline going to be for points?
Right,
Like, is it going to be 600 team points?
Right.
Which is, a 5th in a challenge, 9th in elite. Or does it have to be a little bit more than that? So, like, that was kind of always in my head of, like, what our 12 finishes needed to be. It was like, all right, let's get a bare minimum of at least getting 600 team points for 12 finishes. Like, that is our goal for this 2-year period. And the first year, we were struggling, right? Like, we weren't hitting those. We weren't getting those wins that we needed to get over the hump to get to that 600 point. We kept losing those ninth place matches. And I remember the year before playing with Troy, one of the things that I remembered was late in the season, teams start to like teeter off, and the top team stopped going to things.
Yeah.
And because of that, I remember telling Miles this. I was like, hey, we have to, we're going to play everything. But when the later of the season gets, like, that's when we have to focus more, because that is such a big opportunity for us to, like, go for it and catch up if we need to, or, try to get those, finishes that we needed.
When teams are burnt out, they don't want to go, looking for excuses not to go.
At that time,
and we, like I said, we kind of just continued our, grind mode, practice every day, like, head down, just keep working, go to these tournaments and just play as hard as we can. And we didn't care that it was October or December, whatever month it was, where, you want a break. But we were like, no, like, there's no break for us. Like, we're doing this just full blown.
Yep.
And, we got those late finishes, and that kind of helped us, like, get back into the race. Like, we were so far behind. But those last couple tournaments just pushed us back and kind of got us within striking distance to be like, all right, like, second half of the season, like, we're right there, we're close, and it gave us confidence going into that second part.
Yeah, it felt like you guys were, playing with house money in a lot of ways, right? Because you guys were coming from behind, and it was like, you didn't have the spot to lose, whereas we I think early on it felt like our spot to lose, me and Cam, just whatever, whether it's our personal expectation or external, whatever. And then Theo and Trevor at one point was like, now it's their spot to lose. And then right at the end, you guys just took it all. And you guys had that momentum, that nothing to lose attitude, that we're going all in no matter what, like you just said. Like, it just seems like you guys had a completely different energy that you guys created on your side.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think they're going to just come and swoop it's like a track and field, guys. Where this guy they're coming pretty fast. Oh, shit. My legs. They're gaining on us. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, I was always curious of why Theo and Trevor didn't go to those last tournaments, because like they would have been super high seeded. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been pretty, beneficial for them too. And like
maybe
thinking
holding on to other finishes.
World champs, maybe.
World champs.
I think they're holding on a world champs. So it kind of like world champs, like even though it got them a ton of points and stuff, it could have hurt them because they didn't, they didn't go to those last few challenge
They did play that
tournaments.
Elite 16 at the end of the year, and I think they were banking on like doing well in that tournament and still getting like good points there.
And then staying in elites. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I think their mindset was.
Right. You want to keep the points because they had that elite main draw bid for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting for me to hear you guys talk about the importance of those late season fall events, because I thought the push you guys put on this year was awesome. Like, you guys played so well, where I thought you guys really took it. And I think it's important to note that, like, I don't think Trev and Theo really, like, they didn't lose the spot. They lost a little bit. I thought you guys just went out and grabbed it. Like, you played freaking awesome this whole year. And do you think that was a mental thing? Those fall events, you're like, oh, we're back. We're like right back in it. Or do you think it was something physical, that something with the way you guys designed your system clicked on court, something happened there?
I would say Doha, qualifying for that, barely beating these guys to qualify, and then competing with all three teams. Like, we're super close to beating them. We didn't end up beating anybody. We're 0-3, but like, we're right there. And for me, I was like, wow, like, we literally can play with the best in the world. So like, that gave me a ton of confidence. And then like, as it just kept getting closer and closer, just putting more energy into working out and doing everything I need to do, just being more all in, at the end of the day. And working with a sports psychologist for me was like huge. I'd never worked with one before. And then I started to like really dive into that, and it's been helping me a ton.
What did that help for you?
I was like, I always get really frustrated with myself when I'm not playing well. And now I have like tools to kind of bring me back a little bit quicker. So there's not like 3, 4, 5 point runs as much. So just being like a little bit more external than internal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Has the on-court dynamic between you guys evolved and changed over the years? Because this is what, kind of like year and a half into a partnership?
Right. Yeah, I think our communication's, getting better and better, figuring out how to not be so agitated with each other all the time and try to figure out like a solution to all the problems,
Yeah, it seems like you found them.
I think our system has been the biggest thing of, really instituting our option plan. Miles is such a good passer, so any easy serve that comes to him, like, I'm freaking like drooling at that point. Like, I see that serve coming easy, I'm like, oh, here we go, like, I'm ready. And then from there evolving into like the fast offenses too. Like, Miles has never done that, and he was able to adapt and like go to this fast offense and be really successful with it. And it's really cool to see, because like, we've only done it for like the last year, and and he does it at such a high rate.
Yeah, I'm loving it. No, I try not to run any high sets ever. When I see a high set, I'm like, dude, what do I do now?
But that's what I thought the system, whatever it was, because like, to an outsider, it just looks like overnight, it just clicked. But I'm sure it was a lot of reps out there and practice. Because I remember when I played you guys in Hermosa last year, there was a couple times where like you would sling it too far over, just like those little things were off that were almost always dialed this whole year. And I'm sure that's kind of fun for you guys as players to like see it click and get the results with it.
For sure. And I would say, like, before I would be trying to option like every single time, and then I got to the point like we're playing against like the best servers in the world that I'm like, all right, I just kind of have to manage these balls a little bit more. And now I'm just siding out like by my own like a little bit more. So I'm kind of handling that side out load a little bit more nowadays, but definitely trying to option as much as I can on like the easier serves if I can, you know. But yeah, like you said, like I kept optioning him too far to the left and he'd always be off balance. That was one of the conversations we had all the time. He's just like, dude, will you keep it inside for God? Like, I'm trying, dude, I'm trying. But
well, it's working out.
I'm setting you off of world-class serves. Chill out. Like, give me a little bigger window here. I do the same thing. I've been saying the same. I even said it today. Let me step close into it.
Yeah.
Don't bring it all the way out to me.
You're like me. You want to use that, that turn back line, right? Like I always say, like any good set for me is if I could turn back line, the set's great.
Right.
If I can't get to a ball and turn it back line, then okay, it's a little too far for me.
Right.
Or if it's like this way and I can't turn it back line,
need that no look crossbody quickie. Yeah.
It's a good rule of thumb to have.
The patent try swing.
Chase, when you made the switch to beach full time, was the Olympics the goal, or were you just playing beach because that was just the next thing you wanted to do?
It was always a goal.
Yeah.
I always set goals, and I always try to set my goals as high as possible, and it just always motivates me to have something to go for. And when I switched, Olympics was always the goal, because I wouldn't be traveling internationally like I have from the start not to want to go to the Olympics. Like I started right off the bat, my first year traveling international, playing, trying to get that experience, because, I knew at some point I would have the shot of trying to make this Olympic run.
Yeah. I feel like one of your first big wins was actually, funny enough, against Evandro. Didn't you and Rosie beat him in Stad?
In Stad. We got the wild card. We were the last place, 32 versus the one, and got the upset.
That's a big win.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Dang, on stadium.
Stadium.
I think I remember that too a little bit.
We served Vitor every ball, and then the very last ball, Rosie threw it to Evandro, and I stuffed him for the game point. Yeah,
he probably had no idea. He was like, "Shit, I haven't hit a ball this whole day."
Waiting to hit serve.
I'm just gonna rip it. And you're like, he's probably just gonna rip it.
Was that the same tournament you punched the pole, or was that a different one?
No, that was Vienna.
Vienna?
Yeah,
the next one? Because it's usually like back to back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That was not a good idea.
The only person who's gotten injured celebrating.
Right?
I'm a little more happy about it. Just that it's like not like, oh, this guy just let his anger get to him. It was like, actually, I was celebrating.
I know, right?
Just equally as dumb.
Did you go like pretty hard at the pole?
Not really. It was like a jab. It was a double hand jab.
Oh.
Like digging the cut shot, let it go, is out of bounds, running into the ref stand, just like ref stands right here. Light padding, but it had the crossbars behind it. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And I just double hand jabbed it, and I caught one of the bars like that. Like, good game, out. Good game, out. Good game, out. That's not good. Yeah, that was bad timing.
For sure.
During the 5-star run.
Yeah, bad
during Olympics.
Well, now I'm not going to punch anybody or anything.
I walked by a pole at one of the tournaments that year, and from the stands I hear someone, "Whoa, bro, easy on the pole. Don't hit it. Don't hit it." I deserve that. Yeah.
How did the expectation or prediction of what an Olympic run might look like compare to what it actually is?
I didn't think it was going to be anywhere near as stressful as it is. I had a feeling there was going to be some ups and downs, but just like watching Trevor and Theo play, it felt like I was playing, And
like the animosity that like whether you want it to be there or not, to like really deeply cheer against them.
Yeah. It's tough, you don't want to like be against them in such a negative way, but at the end of the day, like if they lose, we have a good shot. So it's like watching them in Guadalajara, I'm like watching all the other teams just blow it, and I'm like, oh my god, I got like no sleep that night.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt like I lost.
Exactly.
It was so weird.
And then like even just seeing each other around, or like dinners and breakfast, like I genuinely like these people. Like I have no problem with it, but like we're just spending 2 years of just like this awkward like toxic hate or whatever the fuck it
Good
is.
luck. Suck it.
cheering against him. He's like, dude, I heard you were cheering against us. I was like, well, you know, it's like,
Oh, they were very much cheering against you too. Don't worry.
At least
The mind games of
gets
it all.
though.
yeah.
I had to stop watching them. Like
Yeah,
I felt,
you gotta stop.
for me, like I felt like every time I watched them, they would win. So I'm like, you know what?
Right.
I'm done. I can't
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
I'll see if they won or lost after the after the game.
Then
And
I'd
that was
put it up, and he's like, we would watch it, and at the end of the game, he's like, that's why I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't sleep.
I mean, Travis saw it. I don't watch anything.
Yeah.
Everything stresses me out during that time. I don't watch
sure.
Dude.
any volleyball. Just
Did
like,
you
Cam, why are
guys
you watching
watch
it?
their Guadalajara quarterfinal?
There's that.
The Vanderbilt
Stevie,
English
yeah, that was the
meltdown?
one that
Oh,
made
that
me
one,
lose
yeah.
sleep, dude.
That one.
They switched sides. They kept going back. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, just shoot the cut, man. It's open. Just shoot the cut.
That was the moment I watched Kame's soul leave his body.
Yeah.
Watching that, he was like losing his mind. I was
Dude,
like, oh, that's a tough one.
that's my third Olympic quad, and they've all been the exact same. And like, I know what it's like. It was, with Casey and Jake and that whole crew. It was basically us and Casey and
Yeah.
Jake that came down to. And like, Casey was like, he'd like see you and start walking the other direction. Like, it bothered him so much, and all of us. And then the next one was Taylor and Jake. That was pretty much what it came down to, right? And then this one was kind of everyone, like all three of us.
Yeah.
It was just like, I hate that time of like that awkward. I don't know. It's just intense and stressful,
Right.
and there's no dodging it. You can't really get around it. Although, I was thinking about it, like Andy and Miles, they'd never been in it before. They weren't even in it this time because they had no expectation. They're like, oh, let's try, see what we do. Oh, we happen to be one of the best teams in the world, and we're pretty much have the spot locked up.
Yeah.
Like a
In
year,
3 tournaments.
out from it.
Just done.
Just
You're like,
we're
Three,
not-
three tournaments in a row.
and they've never been under the stress of it before. So I'm like, I've done this for legitimately like 12 years now, like 6 years, of being in it.
Yeah.
And these guys didn't even taste it and just straight into the Olympics. Like, yeah, they earned it. But I'm like, you guys don't know. You don't know at all. And then with you guys,
That's so funny.
you guys definitely got into it this year,
Yeah.
like towards the end there.
Yeah, I mean it was a freaking roller coaster, right?
It was a 3-team,
Yeah.
straight battle.
That
Yeah.
last tournament, I could not watch the screen. I was so stressed out.
Exactly.
Like, I was sick. I was getting myself sick.
You're
from,
like warming up for your matches, and you just see them out of the corner of your eye, like checking the score on there.
Yeah.
Like he was like shanking balls that he never shanks and I'm like getting pissed off because I had no idea that he didn't even let me know how stressed out he was.
Yeah.
Because like that's all he was thinking about.
Yeah.
what was going on with their match and
Exactly.
stuff while we were warming up.
It's like in the back of your mind at all times.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I called your next match after you found out when you played Crew and
that's
Gautier,
right,
and
yeah.
I was wondering, like, how hard is that match to play when you just it's 18 months worth of what you're working for you got, and then you got to play an hour later against a very good team.
For sure. Honestly, for me, like, seatbelt was already off. Like, I was like, we made it. Let's go. Like, this tournament means nothing to me right now. This year and a half has been so stressful.
Yeah.
Like, thank God. I want a little break.
Yeah.
Like,
And you guys had to earn it. I remember at the end stretch there where me and Cam were like our mental health's more valuable, and we're, the way that we're playing, it's just not happening unless we expect us to play way better than we ever have before together. But then the run, and I looked at your guys' run, I was like, honestly, I'm not even mad anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I was, but like,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do that. Like the run you guys had to do to finish it was just like 6
We
of
did
8 weeks or something. going?
11 tournaments in 14 weeks.
Yeah.
Holy
And
cow.
like gnarly
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, gnarly travel.
Yeah.
All
like,
over the world.
I was like, at least they have to go earn it and suffer through it to
Yeah.
get this in. Mother effort.
And you did it.
You did, 100%.
yeah, it was cool to hear that we got 6 quarterfinals out of the last 8 tournaments.
Dude, like,
No, that was impressive.
Besides the last one, but
it's hard to do.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's wild. Hearing that stat, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, consistency with the travel and like how gnarly the world tour is in that sense is super impressive for sure. because it's so easy to fall off and be like, get first. You see teams get first in one event,
Right.
and the next one they're just like we used all our juice right there, and like next one's a fall off, and then that's why you have these like, wait, didn't they just win a tournament? Like they're in the quali now?
Right. Yeah. That happens all the time.
There's so much fluctuation, and I would think a lot of it comes down to like, well, yeah, we just went from China to Brazil, and then to Europe.
I don't know how Trevor and Theo qualified after getting like 40 something hours of travel.
Right,
or something.
after that one, yeah, exactly.
I was impressed. Like,
yeah, World Tour's gnarly.
Thankfully, we got into the main draw the last second because Mullen Soren pulled out.
That's right.
And so we got one extra day. You know, that was huge for us.
That's a big extra day.
100%. And not having to battle in the quali because those qualies, man.
You guys were happy when he made that Instagram, because we all knew they're going to drop out. They hadn't dropped out, but he's like, my foot is completely broken on Instagram.
Yes, when we heard that, we were like, wait,
poor guy, but yes.
Ed's texting him. There's no response. Like, come on.
Yeah. After seeing, he even put the X-ray up. I'm pretty sure. It was I think you're good on that one. Pretty sure he's not playing.
What do you guys think helped you sustain that level of play? Because it's one thing to sustain it AVP when you're just traveling within the same country, but you guys are going from like Mexico, China, Brazil, whatever else against the highest level in the world, and you get top 5 and 6 out of 8. That's really hard to do.
For me, it was just the motivation of like the Olympics are so close, you know, and just like all my friends and family like telling me what the Olympics could be like and all that stuff. And I just kept visualizing it and kept, you know, just putting it in the back of my mind. So that was, you know, for me, the biggest thing. Just like focus.
Yeah, we definitely had just that laser focus of just knowing what our job needed to be, you know, like freaking we were kind of just robots of like, hey, like get to a city, get our recovery in, get our lifts in, get our rest in, put our feet up. All right, game plan now. All right, go to this match. Like this is like how we're gonna do this. And then boom, whatever, do well, do bad, whatever. All right, off to the next tournament. Same thing. Like, just very robotic of how we kind of went about our business. And we did actually a really good job of, there was a couple tournaments where we had some time in between. And I thought what helped us too was like, we didn't just go straight to the next tournament. We would go to Rio, and we spent like 2 days in Rio and kind of like helped us, our minds reset too. And we would just go there and have fun and go body surf and go eat some good food and, you know, kind of get away from volleyball for 2 days before we jumped right back into it. And all of these teams, like we saw just bouncing from tournament to tournament and just practice. And for us, just getting those little few days of just mind reset, and then getting back into it.
Yeah. And I would say to second him, like at the end of the year last year, we like kept coming back in between each tournament.
Yeah.
And we like every team went to that next event, and we had like 2 days, a day at home.
Yeah.
And even that
Goes
was
a long way.
You know, it was a nice little reset.
Yeah.
Especially with a kid at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just to see a
that
kid
was,
for a day.
oh my God, I forgot about that stretch. It was every other weekend was a tournament. So it was like, all right, stay out there for 6 straight weeks, or go out there for a tournament for 5 days, come home for 5 days, and then do it all over again.
It's a little more expensive.
And that's what we did.
Yeah,
we just kept going back and forth.
It's pick your poison, right? Like, well, you're going to pay more, and then also you're going to be jet lagged more.
Yeah,
for sure.
But like, especially when you have a family and a kid, like it can eat away at your soul. Being like, my kid's only been alive for a year. For me to be gone for a month is a 12th of his life or whatever, you know, like stuff like that keeps you up at night. So I think it's even more worth it to like just dip back for obviously with or without a family. It's nice to just sleep in your bed for a night. But yeah, for sure,
sleeping in your bed is always it's always key.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think we did like I remember like one of the long road trips where like we got like literally like 18 hours here.
Yeah.
And we got, and just that one night of like being in your bed was just like, oh, this was amazing.
I ran into you.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
saw the ghost of Miles Evans on the street.
It was like 7 a.m. I'm on my skateboard just breathing in like the Hermosa air for a second. I'm like, oh, this place is so great. And I'm out in 2 hours.
I think you were on your way back from China to Brazil.
Yeah.
And I saw Miles like bloodshot eyes. I was like, "Are you all right?"
Half dead.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm about to leave on another plane."
He's like, what country are we in? I don't know, but it feels good wherever I'm at right now. Yeah, what you guys thought about the whole, just the world tour in general, and like we're talking about how much it took to pull off what you guys did, and that the only motivation, it sounds like at least, was Olympics.
Points.
Let's take Olympics out of the equation. What are we doing on the world tour right now? Like, is there the motivation still there for what's available on the world tour to like do that grind? Because that grind was just so
we're not playing 11
gnarly.
tournaments in 14 weeks. No chance.
It's ridiculous. Like no one would ever do what we've been doing, yet that's the schedule at hand. Like that's kind of expected of you to, like, if you really want to be a world tour player, like you're doing that. But then if, like you said, if you want to fly back home, you're losing a bit of money. Like, and you guys did well, and I'm sure you're not like looking at your bank accounts like, fuck yeah, like the prize money, like
I know,
you know. That's kind of a crazy part that I think of as like, for the bid, yeah, most of us will just kind of do whatever the hell needs to be done. But that was so gnarly.
It's going to be interesting, like next year, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when there are no
who's going to go out there?
Rounds, who's going to, you know, these challenge tournaments where they're going to look like, you know, now. Because you had all these top teams playing in all these challenge tournaments, but now, you know, you're going to have to weigh your pros and cons because there isn't like much money in those. Like, you really have to get like a top 5 finish or more to like make anything.
Only thing you're chasing is trying to be an elite.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And get on the podium in elites, I guess, would be.
The
that better be enough motivation for you, or else like
still be the top 2 teams in America to get that stipend or whatever.
Yeah, trying to play for the U.S. stipend.
Yeah,
for sure,
something.
But yeah, I think, you know, again, I think the World Tour tries its best to make these tournaments, and sometimes they just get screwed with their scheduling with making them 1 week from Brazil, next week to China. Like, it sucks, but.
They did try, right? Like they kind of tried to put it all in Europe and do the South America, and then they like had to throw in like a China. Like, whoa! Who's this one over here?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, especially with this year, they tried to really front load the schedule to just give everyone enough opportunities for the Olympics. I'm really curious what it's going to look like next year,
or even right after at the end of this year, right? Like, what are teams gonna? I mean, we're talking about how stressful it is. Like, who's going to just turn it 100% off? I would think a lot of teams are going to be like, we're not touching the World Tour after this.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at...
for us, we have a lot of conflicting stuff with AVP, I thought.
Yeah,
some of the elites with the league tournament. Like, with the league. So
yeah, because the league's 9 straight weeks. I mean, you play every other, but
so
I don't know when you guys find out.
Week. I don't know.
Yeah, like how are we supposed to kind of plan this too, as far as like the scheduling?
Yeah.
You know, we don't even really know which weekends we're going to be playing.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll cross that bridge when it comes. I'm sure you guys aren't really looking past July right now.
To be honest, I don't even know. I don't even know what the schedule is after for the World Tour. After Olympics, that was my cutoff date, and that was it.
I literally don't know either.
Figure out life when it comes.
With the way you guys qualified, like, I think that the way that Lara Ludwig and Louisa Littman qualified is the purest way, where they just got to beat Carla Borger and Sandra Itlinger, and that was it.
It was a straight-up match.
They won it, and they qualified.
Golden match.
But with the way that you guys qualified, it was like the weirdest thing, because it was just like a match you weren't watching the score, super stressed. What was it like when you just saw the score and you were like, we did it. We got the Olympics.
Yeah, so you guys played your match at the same time and ended early?
No.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, right? No, or did they?
No, we didn't play our first match yet. And they started their match way ahead because our court was behind.
Oh, so you guys were like warm up.
So we were warming up, waiting, warming up, and then we saw like they were going to a 3-setter and it was super close.
Yeah.
And we were actually able to watch, Ed and I watched on the phone for the last few points because we didn't have to go to our court yet. So we were able to actually watch it while Miles was sitting over in the corner, just sulking, just sweating,
I wouldn't have been able,
just fully sweating, just listening.
Just warm up.
Listening to Ed and I talk about the match.
Breathing deep. All the other players are passing by, like you can totally see how.
That's so hard though, because then, like, if they do win, you're like, you just got your heart
I
rate
think
up, and
that's
you're
what
like, I gotta go play now and actually care.
Yeah. I
Versus
think that's
like,
what he was really worried about was like, shoot, they're gonna win, and then I'm gonna have to play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, the stress of it is really it was real. That's for sure.
yeah.
I still had faith that they were going to take second place or first
Right,
place.
yeah.
Like, I
No,
was
for
like,
sure.
Dude, these guys could go on a run. Like, this is not over yet, you know?
Then you got it done.
How's that moment when they lost?
You know, it's
Amazing.
huge stress relief
Just crazy,
for sure.
yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, but super exciting. You know, I called mom and dad.
Right there before the match.
Mom had no idea what that even meant. Oh, honey, are you gonna start? Like, what does that mean?
Are you coming off the bench or?
Well, I got to see what
Mom,
Sean
like,
Scott
I
says.
made it.
I didn't know you were trying for that.
It was pretty silly.
That's
but it was
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, just the excitement just through the roof.
Yeah.
And then also just like the biggest like sigh of relief that like this journey is finally done and we did it.
Yeah.
Like both of those like two emotions just collide into each other, and it was it's just the epic feeling.
Yeah.
You know, of like just knowing what we've been through and like we broke through, we made it, and we could call ourselves Olympians. You know, that was just like the coolest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously calling the wife and having, you know, FaceTiming her.
For
and
sure.
how proud she was and stuff. It was really a cool moment as well.
On your anniversary too, right? Or pretty close to
Pretty
it?
close to it, yeah. I think it was our anniversary. Yeah.
Pretty cool. That wasn't the priority that night.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I ran into Dan on the Strand like maybe the Tuesday after Ostrava, and was just talking to him about it, and he was like, Chase is already back to work, and like you guys didn't waste any time, like, because the way he described me is like, this is what I told him, we started the business, we got the business open, that's the easy part, now we got to keep the business going.
The Brazilians and their analogies are really like stories.
I love it.
Jose gave us one today on the sand, just walking by, and we're like, what? Got
These
it.
Brazilian parables.
Yeah. The joystick. First the joystick goes front and back. Now it goes in circles. Okay. Yup.
Does that mean it's on its own? Is it just...
You don't question Jose, you just nod and smile.
Yep. Makes perfect sense.
But yeah, Dan loved it because he was like, they didn't waste any time, just refocus it, and now like the first chapter of that journey's done, and now it's you get to compete in a pretty cool stage.
Yeah, what's the kind of approach here now that I'm assuming it's kind of a reset, right? Like celebrate the moment. Now you got to figure out how you want to attack this
I
games.
think what's cool is like this tournament's different from every other tournament. Like one, we know who we're gonna play. Right?
Yeah,
like
right.
it's not the night before and you don't know who you play yet, right?
Yeah.
So now we could actually like study game plan, like practice our game plan, go like do all this stuff beforehand, knowing who we're going to be facing in our pool,
Right.
Which is nice because that's like kind of my background is very used to like knowing who we're playing and then having to like do scout team and prepare for them a certain way and then kind of like mentally preparing for that going into the match and having all that what you just practice in the back of your mind. So it's been nice having these practices just to kind of tune up for you know these teams that we're going to be facing.
Who's in your pool again? You have France?
We have France.
That's our first match.
That's the draw you want.
Bournemans, De Groot, and then Herrera Guevara.
Okay.
That's a pretty good pool.
Yeah,
You definitely want France, right? They got the auto.
Yeah, they
8
got
seed?
the auto. They got the auto 6 seed. Yeah,
6 seed. Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious what they were going to do with Crew versus Rotar.
Which one? Yeah. Oh,
Because Crew was hurt and he couldn't play in the Continental Cup.
Yeah.
Did you keep up with that?
No.
Saw the Instagram stories, but
Dude, it was crazy. So me and Tri have been talking about all year how good Rotar is.
Yeah.
And we were like, dude, I think their best team is actually Gautier and Rotar. They put them together. They went 6-0.
Wow.
And anytime that there was a golden match or golden set, they put them in and they won it. Just
Rotar's their guy.
balled out, dude.
yeah, for sure. He's gonna be real good.
So I was curious, with Crew being like kind of banged up, if they were going to stick with Rotar. I think they did the right thing because Crew's been freaking grinding forever.
Yeah.
But I was curious, like Rotar, wild card. He's a talented player.
His option game is gnarly.
Yeah.
You know,
Chase, you mentioned your background, obviously in the NBA, your schedule. You knew what teams you were going to play. In the NBA, though, like they talk about like how exhausting a back-to-back might be. You did back-to-back all around the world. How different has that been, that transition going from because the NBA 82-game schedule plus playoffs is
charter
strenuous.
jet, sushi on the jet.
But this is a whole different world.
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, flying all around the world is tough. And, mostly it's commercial. I'm mostly not getting upgraded. I'm not first class. So obviously, because of that, like your body takes a toll of being crammed in these seats for long periods of time. And compared to NBA, everything's first class, luxury, best hotels, you charter flights, all that. Only longest flight will probably be like 4 hours, so it's not anything terrible. The one thing with the NBA though is people don't realize it just never stops. 82 games is like 7 months where it just never stops.
Yeah.
Your days become practice days, game days, and the occasional off day, and that's it for 7 months straight. And it's just on repeat, to the point where when you finally get that all-star break, which is 6 days, you feel like that 6 days off feels like a month
right,
in the middle of the season.
You're
like, oh my God, this is amazing. I get 6 days to chill and do nothing. This is cool. So that's the difference.
So glad I didn't make the All-Star team.
So that's the difference where in beach volleyball, the traveling is much tougher because of the traveling is a lot longer, but there is more recovery time for your body because you do have days in between tournaments, even if there is back-to-back weekends, you still get those 3-4 days in between.
Yeah. And then you
which is
also
nice.
you're kind of the co-coach with your coach, right? You're scheduling practices. You get to choose, like you said, Miles, we're going to go to Rio and jump in the water versus going over. Whereas NBA, it's no, there's practice.
It's
go.
a schedule.
Get on this bus.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, and the NBA, it's all about that text message about the bus.
Yeah.
It's all what time's bus? 10:30? Okay, perfect.
Your whole life is just get on the bus at the right time.
Yeah, and then when you're home, when's practice? All right, 10 o'clock practice? All right.
Be there at the right time. Yeah.
Has it been fun for you to see? It was fun for me to see Magic shout out, KD, Gerald Henderson. It was because I remember asking you what's been crazier, the media crush of the blitz that you guys have had this last month or anything in the NBA, and you said this, no question.
This has been absolutely absurd. I didn't know that finally getting to the Olympics would make this media buzz just absolutely explode
right,
like it did. But it's been really cool, especially for all the basketball media out there that's kind of jumped on this story and stuff, and it's cool to kind of see them to have my back with it. And then obviously all the ex teammates and NBAers kind of reached out, just at that respect level. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, did someone say Michael Jordan got on it somehow? Did I thought I saw something.
Magic
Johnson.
Magic Johnson did.
Oh, maybe
Different
it was MJ.
Different MJ.
Yeah. I saw MJ, and then you were like, yeah, that was really cool to see. I don't know, it's some article.
Yes, there's been a couple articles that have said Jordan.
Oh, it did say Jordan. Okay, maybe I read that.
I don't think
you didn't get that message.
I don't think I got that message. Okay. So I think it was a typo or lost in translation.
Yeah.
In one of the interviews or whatever.
Yeah, actually, as a person who's contributing, trying to grow the sport, it's been cool for me to know, all right, yeah, Chase actually has. We were talking about it earlier, how Olympics is only mega beneficial or can put you or your sport on the pedestal and then in that spotlight if the media chooses you and as one of those big storylines. Not every Olympian is going to go to the Olympics and be spotlighted internationally necessarily, but we have one of those storylines in our sport, and we are getting spotlighted, and just as a fan of our sport is yes,
right,
finally we got someone that's getting. And also I think especially with us guys, we always kind of put ourselves on that NBA level. We're elite, world-class professional athletes too,
I can touch 11.6.
Yeah, well, maybe not in that way, in terms of these guys touching 13 feet. But the way that we go about our business and our lifestyles of being a professional athletes, you're always kind of like, we're like that too. We just don't have the media or the millions of dollars and all that. But then you're kind of connecting that gap for us. Yeah. And like, I just think that's cool for us to, as a sport, to have someone that's been in between and connecting that gap for us and bringing the media to us. Before it was like we had Misty and Carrie. April carried that torch for us for a bit.
For sure.
But on the men's side, they never really jumped on until
Phil.
Yeah, Phil's not like a big media guy at all.
Right.
Them winning it, there was a little bit, but it was also Misty and Carrie had won the same year, so it's like, and the tall ball guy. Everyone's like, there's a tall ball guy that plays volleyball, right? And that was kind of the extent of it. So yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool for all of us, I think, to get that. It must be funny for you to like, kind of like,
Chase Budinger qualifies for the Olympics with Miles Evans.
You're like, oh, guys,
for sure.
Me too, bro. I was right there. There's two of them. I'm half that team.
One of them just said Team USA, not even me. I was like, oh, okay.
All right, that's fine.
Walk away or whatever.
I'll just walk away.
I'm waiting for the UCSB headline though. Miles Evans carries Chase Budinger to Olympia.
Yeah. The UCSB
just
Herald.
one article. I just need one.
That's funny.
No, how's it been though? Just like being at that kind of next level of media again. I mean, you've been on it at times, but like that, ESPN level kind of, or whatever it is, just having the media chasing you guys around in ways that they haven't before.
I'm definitely not used to it, for sure. Getting better at doing some interviews and whatnot, but definitely have a long way to go.
I feel you. Just podcast more. Yeah, that's how I learned how to do interviews.
It's fun. It's cool to be able to tell our story.
Yeah.
Just to keep getting this story out, because it's been a very unique story and something new, and promoting beach volleyball, it's huge, right? Like it's a sport that hasn't been really tapped into that world of the ESPNs as much. So having these articles maybe could help that.
Yeah, for sure.
Drive a little more, especially even more for the AVP.
Mention your story. What do you think the story of this team is? I feel like there's a couple different angles. I mean, Trey mentioned it at the beginning that
the Underdogs.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Just how. I think we were like perceived like the fifth American team.
We did a poll
to start the season.
We did a poll on this.
I did a poll for our listeners. Who do you think is going to make the Olympics? And it was Miles and Andy were runaway favorites. I think Tryon came, Trev and Theo, the Taylors, and then there was just 0% votes for other. And you guys took a 0% vote and made it. And I've referenced that a number of times just throughout qualifying. Like, you guys were the underdogs, and you went out and grabbed it. And like I said before, like, it wasn't that someone else lost it. Like, you guys ended up, I agreed with Theo, we had like a 6,000 point kind of projected cut line, that's 600 point average.
Yeah.
And you guys ended up like 8,500 points. Like, you were way above whatever the cut line ended up being.
Yeah, I remember, I forget what tournament it was. I think maybe Portugal. But like, we got our fifth, and that was our 12th tournament. And I remember we celebrated because we were like we hit our goal. Like, we were so excited because we got that 12th minimum of 600 points. And we were and I was keeping track of Trevor and Theo, where they were still missing those. And they actually finished with three tournaments left where they didn't even get that bare minimum and had to take a couple 460s, and that's what ultimately hurt them was not getting that bare minimum of 600.
And what's funny is that you look at the flip side of that, where like Vandeveld and Immers had like 6 tournaments less than 600, but they had like 1,100, 1,000, another 1,000. They were so top heavy because that's actually what killed Brower and Mewson.
Yeah, because
they just had like 600s across the board, and then so it was so hard for them to actually gain anything. But Vandeveld and Immers were like, we're dropping a 220? Yeah, we'll pick up an 1,100. I was like, damn, guys.
That's what I learned. That was like a big point of mine coming into this squad, was like, I'm usually very consistent. That's something I took a lot of pride in on the World Tours. Like, usually averaging around the 9ths back in the Grand Slam days mixed in. But like, I told myself, like, that doesn't qualify this. Like, consistency isn't it, actually. I'd rather take a good finish and a dead last than a, just consistently being solid. Because that's what kind of lost it for us with against Jake and Casey the first time, was we were consistently outperforming them, but they had a few higher end finishes, and then they're getting bad finishes, even like dead last or something, where you feel like we're smashing them.
For sure.
But nope, they qualify more because they had a few of those higher end finishes, but it didn't work.
I mean, to be honest, our biggest tournament was the Norseca.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was by far the biggest
Norseca qualifier, yeah.
Norseca qualifier that got us into that Norseca
Isn't that weird?
Championship.
How random,
probably the biggest tournament.
Yep.
And the biggest game.
It came about a
match.
week and a half before. Sean Scott calls us hey, we can put it on this
Yeah.
tournament this day.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, I told my family, I'm like, dude, this is probably going to be what decides who gets to go for the Olympics, and it was such a crazy way that it ended, he got blocked straight down, but it hit the bottom of the net and went out, and Trevor thought he got the point, and then we were like, wait, no, we just won. We were going nuts. It was crazy.
And then you have not World Tour refs there either,
right,
it's
for sure.
Kind of questionable.
Yeah, well, that day is super windy, so it wasn't
freezing. I wore SANDCAST that morning.
It was wasn't traditional volleyball.
My soul was just not at the beach. I was like, this is really important. This is really important. You need to be here. And I'm just wearing sand socks. I can't feel my hands. It was just it's just not meant to be.
We had to play the Taylors beforehand, and
you guys had a battle.
Number before
where
that.
Taylor was just I'm just going to try to get my brother the
I heard that he was going to forfeit.
Yeah,
if he beat
so
us.
in the back of our minds, we're
happening.
all right, we have to beat them because if they win, then they're going to let the other team go. So we're all right, we have to win this match.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think many people understood the importance of that going into it. Because going into it, I was like, if we win, we still have a chance of qualifying.
Yeah.
If we lose, probably out, because it's an automatic pretty much 720 for whoever gets in, which is great for entry points. And then I was like, if Trev and Theo win full driver's seat, but if Chase and Miles win, I was like, this is pretty interesting. And I think, like you guys said, I think the Olympic race has these sort of big hinge moments where it changes, and I think that was the biggest sort of hinge moment where it went fully in your direction.
Yeah.
And I think that also just deflated Trev and Theo, not only because you got the bid, but you also beat them again.
And you made their lives harder, right? They were looking at it okay, we pull this off, we get a little lead,
totally.
we can relax a little bit, have that
then it also
cushion.
Jumps your entry points huge.
We have that fifth extra bonus tournament or whatever, it's not 3 out of 4 anymore. Now it's 3 out of 5. So that lasts for a long time, which is huge.
Yeah. So we went from middle of the quali to number 1 in the quali. So now our route into tournaments was a lot easier, and then even got us into.
And then Norway broke their foot.
Yeah.
No, that was the golden ticket.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it was.
I knew it, dude. I knew how important that tournament was going to be. Then we actually had to go win it. We're down to Nicaragua 12-9, and ended up getting 9 straight points and winning. But it's not easy. They wanted it too.
For sure.
It was wild.
Because Nicaragua guys are not bad volleyball players.
No, for sure. They're bringing it.
And Norseca volleyball, you talk about kind of a weird style of ball. You don't know what you're getting on
But it's
Norseca.
a different ball. All of a sudden we're playing. It's supposed to be an FIVB ball, but it's the plastic version.
Get the replicas.
Replicas.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this ball? And then the refs aren't really fully there. You're like, all right, well, let's go.
Talk about a tournament requiring laser focus. Norseca's. They'll dial you in.
The crazy part is they messed up the score at the end of our match, and I didn't even know we won when I got the kill. And then he was about to go back to serve, but Ed's going, the game's over, and we're he's like, Miles, we're done. And I go up to the ref stand, they're like, no, it says on the score sheet, you guys, it's tied.
No, Ed Keller does not get the score wrong. Go to the video.
Yeah, and then they did the video, and we ended up winning.
Yeah, I guess what happened was a gust of wind came and it blew one of the score numbers back.
While someone's looking away.
Yeah. So and then the person who was keeping it on the stat sheet was some kid, and they must have not
That's never happened to you in the NBA?
didn't stat it right, so they had no idea. The other team knew, Canada, Dan Deering knew what the actual score was. So they weren't. they were kind of bummed about it. Like we figured it out, but you can't really do anything because they knew what kind of happened.
Right. I had no idea.
But,
we won. I was like, 3 minutes later, they're like, all right, game over. I'm like, wait,
Like,
no
that's-
way. Let's go.
It's kind of like you never know what the score is.
I definitely wouldn't have known, even if the score was right.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. You like
just
walking
don't
back to
care.
serve. It's like switching sides. You're like,
Yeah. Try. Hey, over here. Okay.
Well, that's how you were in Recife when he went on a
Told you,
big
I don't just
scoring
say
run, ended up winning like 22-20 over that French team, Catet and Barthélemy. He tries walking back to serve, he grabs the ball, and he's ready to go again, and like
game's
like,
over.
Try.
And I got an ace.
It's over.
Right? Then I get ace
Walk
for the
off
win.
ace.
Walk off ace, and then I just go back.
Like do this again.
He starts hugging me. I'm like, oh. Okay. Oh, 6.
That's funny.
I was talking with Ben O'Day. I like the way he described it, where him and Brad Fuller, they like calls big wins taking scalps. And you guys, towards the end of the year, I remember your first big one, I feel like, was in Montreal to qualify. You beat Herrera Gavira. I think that was Montreal.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that match, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty big upset. And then when you played them in Poland, I fully expected you guys to beat them. I was like, that was the way that I viewed those matchups now has shifted a lot. And then you guys smoke George and Andre in Portugal. It's like,
that's right.
damn, like you guys have piled up some wins.
You know, that win was insane because we hadn't played that well against, Avandro in the first match. It went close. And I remember Richie was going, every point matters. And in the second set, we're getting our butt kicked. And then we ended up, like, coming back. Sure enough, it comes down to, like, we were playing well against Andre and George. And it came down to half a point, like 1 point, determined who won the pool. And I remember he was like, I'm pretty sure this is the point on serve receive, like right before. I'm pretty sure this is the one.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this side out matters. Like, we have this side out.
Yeah.
We have to get it.
Yeah. That's
I don't
when
know why I just had a feeling like I was like, oh, the numbers like
Yeah, that's when it kind of can be helpful to like know what the
number-wise.
score is
Yeah.
and like remember how it's been working out.
Yeah.
But it's not worth it for me to try.
Luckily, we have Ed that kind of helps us out with
for
the
sure.
number
I even
stuff.
ask Ed, I'm like, Ed, am I out of the Olympic race? Like, well, let me break it down for you. I'm like, see, why would I try to calculate it when he knows everything?
True. I'm not that way either. You got it, dude.
I leave it on Travis.
Yeah, it turns out we didn't have to do much calculating by the end of it.
Yeah.
When we met, if we were going to China or not, I was like, guys, the odds are pretty low right now. And we're like,
Yeah.
cool, we'll stay home.
Yeah.
But
But,
I think just getting the experience against all these top teams is so beneficial. I mean, when you can't you need to feel them. You need to see how they play up close. You can only do so much watching film. You need to actually feel them against you and how they play. And it's just funny how matchups is such an important part of the sport. There's some teams that you'll play really well against, and there's some teams that you just haven't figured out yet. And they have your number, and you have some other team's numbers. And it's just crazy how sports in general. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
All sports. Like that's how it was in basketball too. I remember there's multiple teams where, on paper they should beat us, but like we went into games and be like, oh, we're gonna smash this team, and then we do it.
Yeah.
So you have that confidence plus the mixture of just like kind of knowing the other team.
It's so true, and like the whole on paper thing of like, I mean, you see like them trying to put together what do you call them, super teams or whatever, where they're fully stacked, and on paper this team's gonna smash, and it just doesn't work. That's kind of how me and Kane were. I feel like we've kind of like saw a vision of like what on paper, how it would look and all that, and then it's like there's these, it's like an energy, right? There's like this energy, there's this fluidity, and I don't know, it's just something that you can't really, where are you both at in your careers, where are you both at in your lives, like, and it just has to click, and you can't really like ever plan that or like fully know if it's gonna work
until you try it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys still think you're underdogs heading into Paris?
For sure. We haven't beat Bournemans de Groot yet. They're in our pool. We're 1-3 against France, and and we're 2-1 against Rivera Guevara, and that's just our pool. You know, there's so many more teams in this tournament, so you know, just got to play one match at a time and hopefully beat them when it counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the underdog role.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Might as well.
It's fun.
Why not?
It's a fun spot to be.
It's a good spot to be in.
Yeah.
You know, it helps you try to play a little more freely.
Yeah. Well, you guys are in a good spot. Congrats on making the Olympics. It's an awesome accomplishment. It's
Thank
been since I stopped coaching, it's been very fun to watch.
Exactly. You were part of that.
Always our announcer. It's awesome.
You were
Oh
part
my
of that stress ball.
You guys in Doha, I couldn't.
Yeah. There was one.
right.
There was one. I was watching the film. You were like, before a reception, you called out the option right before
Yeah,
the
right.
serve happened.
Here
It was
comes
funny.
the
He's like,
option.
he's like, oh, this is a perfect time. This is what they always do. They option this play, and then like we did the option and it made you look so good.
Like, don't give
know
Miles
it.
an easy serve this way. Slings it across. Good night.
Before we let you go, what's kind of the approach in terms of going to the Olympics and the circus that's going to surround you that's so different from other events? You know, what's kind of the approach to obviously focus on playing? We've talked to a lot of teams over the years, even like the gold medalists, Blanton and Dane and Fenoy.
Yep.
They took the approach of, we're just going to go have fun, enjoy things, and see what happens. And they ended up winning the thing.
It's kind of how
Other
I feel like I'm
teams,
going to go into
okay,
it.
yeah. Other teams, you know, laser focus, Misty carry,
Yeah, carry.
I know, that's
just
what- when we talked to
focus,
Carrie,
don't have
that's what she
fun,
said too, yeah.
kind of thing. Like we've seen both ends of the spectrum. Like, what's kind of generally your guys' approach?
I want to take it all in and see
Yeah.
what it's all about. I don't have like a full on plan, but I want to enjoy myself a little bit and just, you know, have like a good time to, you know, we've been working our butts off to get to this point, so might as well enjoy it a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Yeah.
also have, you know, still
Go there and
stay
do your job.
focused. Yeah,
do what
exactly.
you're there to do.
Yeah, I try to. For me, is I'm trying to take like my basketball background to it of like when you have the time, experience life, like enjoy it, because you know, for us, it took us this 2-year period of grinding to finally get here. So why not enjoy the Olympics?
Yeah.
Like while we're there, and then also like, hey, when it's time to focus, like, all right, change that mindset, and you got to get into game mode.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll kind of take how, you know, how I played basketball is,
Yeah.
you know, I was able to, you know, enjoy my life at the time playing basketball
Right.
when I had the days off and I had that extra time. But then, you know, practice, game days, like, you know, have to have that laser
Lock
focus.
in, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Sick. Well, jealous but excited for you guys. I'm actually like I keep picturing the opening ceremonies. Like it's so cool being with. I've gotten to do 2 World University Games, Pan Ams, and Olympics,
Nice.
and that opening ceremony's energy is just so cool. Being with all those USA, I'm sure you actually know some of the NBA guys a little bit, right?
For sure.
So getting to mingle with just all the athletes it's a cool moment, and I think you're on boats with them, which is
On
like
boats, yeah.
even more intimate and cool. So that's gonna be
it's
fun.
gonna
Yeah,
be-
enjoy that.
It's gonna be real fun. A lot of
Heck
people
yeah.
asked us if we would even do opening ceremonies. That was like a question.
Well,
People
it's a
like,
timing
some people,
thing.
100% yes.
No, it's one of for sure. It's
No matter what.
extremely draining.
Yeah,
like
for
I've
sure.
said, I've done 4, and you're standing for hours,
right.
and you're in lines, and you're just
Yeah.
sitting there, and like mingling's tiring
For sure.
So if you do play the next day, and your whole thing is to be there,
Yeah.
I get why people skip. But yeah,
We got the
Don't skip.
We got the coolest thing for that is we don't play till 3 days after it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
nice.
Don't skip.
While Andy and Miles, they have the very first game
No
of
way.
the next day
Yeah.
at 2 p.m.
And Chris
you
and
guys are
Chandler the
stoked.
next day
Yeah,
too.
stoked.
Yeah. So now they have to make that decision. For
We're
us, we're
stoked.
like, we're stoked.
Dude, I showed up in
we can
Tokyo that
experience
day.
this whole day. Let's go.
awesome.
I showed up in Tokyo. I was sitting in the hotel, like waiting for it to be official, and then they're like,
yeah.
"All right, you're in." They dressed me up. I went to Ralph Lauren, fitted me right there. Go to the room, get dressed, go down opening ceremonies.
Sick,
How
dude.
did I end up here? This is crazy.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's actually a really cool
Yeah,
story.
Todd, he swears by the fact that because Todd didn't go to opening ceremonies in Beijing because they got the Andy Miles treatment.
Right,
Phil walking around all day. They play Latvia. And
They
Todd's
lost
like,
first
we
round.
played that Latvian team 100 times. They've served me every ball. They served Phil every ball, and it's still regarded as the biggest upset in Olympic history.
No, I would consider not going to the opening ceremony, even though it's the coolest thing to experience. If I had that match, it would eat my soul away. But if I mean, you guys 100% go and
Just
enjoy
text
that
the other
thing.
team like, you guys going?
Yeah. How about we both agree to go? Yeah.
That's funny.
Andy's supposed to be the flag bearer. You know, I
What?
think that's what Sean Scott texted us. So I don't know if he's
Andy's the American flag bearer?
like, you know, didn't he text
don't
us
think so.
saying like,
Maybe. I don't know.
We got a text of that, but I didn't understand it.
Usually it's like the most high-profile athlete. Sweet. That'd be sweet, though. Or maybe there's a different...
I have no idea.
I guess-
I just got
I
the
guess we'll
text. I was
see.
like, really? They have the match at 1 p.m. the next day? That's pretty odd.
Yeah.
Maybe they want the tallest person out of the USA. But like,
Maybe, yeah. Well, whatever. Either way, enjoy that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, great job on scheduling. Awesome
Yeah.
that you get to enjoy the
Yeah,
first couple of
smart.
days and
Yeah,
go to
for
opening
sure.
ceremonies. And congrats again. And we'll be following along.
Yeah, boys.
All right, thanks,
Go get
guys.
it.
Yeah,
Go
thanks for
represent.
having us.
Heck yeah.
Shoots.
Shoots.